Last session we have seen impact of globalization. Coming to the end of that lesson, the most important topic, struggle for fair globalization. What is meant by fair globalization? It is connected to the impact of globalization. So in the impact of globalization, we have seen some of the consumers, that is well-off consumers, some of the producers, that is multinational companies, and who supported and who are given raw materials for them, or those who worked in the multinational companies, the main offices, like that, they benefited. And those who could not compete with the multinational companies, they perished. They shut down their products because of the higher cost. They could not reduce the cost of production, or they cannot reduce the cost of production because of the imports, like that. And the workers, those who worked in the skilled people, that they benefited. And those who were temporarily worked, they were not benefited, they were adversely affected, they lost job, or they didn't get proper payments, etc. So from there we can see that the impacts lead to another thing is that globalization was not benefited everyone. Not everyone benefit from globalization. That is a conclusion we are getting from the impact of globalization. As it is not everyone benefited, who has benefited? Educated, skilled and wealthy people benefited from the globalization. Yes, those who had the wealth, they got enough opportunities for higher education, and and those who got enough methods or enough techniques, they got the technical know-how. Because of the opportunities were available to the wealthy people, so they benefited. So opportunities got by educated, skilled and wealthy people got opportunities in the globalization. And third point is that many people did not share with the benefits. They did whatever they obtained because of the globalization, they didn't share with the other people. So this is the three important concepts regarding it is not fair. So what are they? Not everyone benefited from the globalization. Only a few section of people, wealthy, rich, and wealthy, that means rich people, then educated people and the skilled people benefited. And third point, many people, they have not shared the benefits. So what we should do? How we can make it sure? Make it more fairer. As it is not fair, how to make it more fairer? Regarding fairer globalization, some policies can be there. Before that, how it can make a fairer globalization? Two important things are there. First one, create opportunities for all. So create opportunities. Here opportunities are only for the wealthy people, skilled people and educated people. So opportunities should be created to all. And another one, we have seen that many people didn't share it. So here the second point is that benefits of globalization should be shared in a better way. Is share better. So you should remember, it should be gone to all people and it should be shared in a better way. So what the government should do? What are the government policies behind that? How the government policy can create more fairer the globalization? So first point is that protect the interest of all people. We have to protect the interest of all people, including the small producers, the workers. We have seen like the Ravi's case, Sushila's case we have seen. We have to protect the interest of all people. Labor laws should be properly implemented. If the labor laws are properly implemented, we can see that Sushila may be getting the health insurance, she may be getting the provident fund, she may be getting the lower wage, the minimum, at least the minimum wages. So you know that if she is working overtime, and then she may be getting the double rate payment. So the labor laws should be properly implemented. And second, so first one, protect the interest of all people. Second point, the labor laws should be properly implemented. And third point, the workers' rights should be there, preserved. Workers get their rights. Workers get their rights mean that at least casual leave should be there, the medical leave should be there. When they take leave, this is the right of the labor, so you know that they should be paid. Otherwise, no work, that no wage. Suppose they take leave, they are not getting payment. So these are some of the rights. Workers get their rights and support small producers like Ravi. We have seen Ravi could not survive because of the competition from multinational companies. TV companies started to demand capacities from or they started to give the assembling of the TV sets to the multinational companies. One way he lost the customers, and second point is that as they imported these the capacities, they got, the other producers got the capacities at lower rate or half rate what the Ravi sold. So they prefer to buy it from, not from Ravi, the imported products. So that is why the competition could not enable the Ravi to survive properly. So he started to incur loss there. And so that is why we can say support small producers. Then how the small producers can be supported? Till they reach a point where they are able to compete with the producers, compete with the foreign producers or the multinational companies, give them some concessions. That means they have to use the trade and investment barriers. Suppose the government is not allowing to import capacities, the Ravi could survive there. So give some investment and trade barriers. The government should give some investment and trade barriers. So if there is trade barriers are there, investment barriers are there, Ravi could survive there. That is, till they strong enough to compete with the multinational companies. When the small producers reach a point where they can compete with the existing multinational companies, then the concessions can be removed, the limitations can be. Otherwise, if the restrictions are there, they can survive there. As no restriction, anybody can import, you know that the people will go behind the lower price. So that they cannot reduce the cost. What is the major thing why they cannot? Multinational companies are looking for the cheapest cost of production. And here they have to, why the workers are getting lower wage, raw materials price they cannot reduce. So they reduce the wage. That is the reason. So first one, protect the interest of all people. Second one, labor laws should be properly implemented. And third point, workers get their rights. Fourth point, support small producers till they strong enough to compete. Till that time, they should use some trade and investment barriers what we had earlier before 1991. And negotiate fairer rules. We have to negotiate, we have to go on discussing how to reach that fight against the domination of the developed countries and the domination of the world trade organizations. And here, as like developing countries, massive campaigns and representation by people's organizations relating to trade and investment at WTO. That means we have to pressurize World Trade Organization that as long as possible there should be some investment and trade barriers, that only then the small producers can survive. Or otherwise only the multinational companies will survive, and multinational companies will be looking for the cheapest location. They will reduce the price of the labor. Price of the labor means they will reduce the wages of the laborers. Then so you know then WTO is playing an important role here. WTO asked to impose this type of restriction. Let the trade be free, let the investment be free. I told in the first session that investment become free. Our country people can go and invest in other countries, they can come and invest in our country freely. There is no restrictions, or majority of the restrictions are removed. To some extent only there is restrictions. So that is the WTO asked, because of the WTO, that is the World Trade Organizations. And what is WTO? World Trade Organization is came in 1995. We became the member of WTO in 1995. Before that, there was GATT, General Agreement on Trade and Tariff was there. So we can look at what is WTO. Related to fairer globalization, we have seen WTO, that is World Trade Organization. We became the member of World Trade Organization in 1995. There are 164 member countries are there in World Trade Organization. And what is meant by World Trade Organization? What is the aim of the World Trade Organization that we call as WTO? Before that, there was GATT, that is General Agreement on Trade and Tariff, where existed in India. And after 1995, in 1995, we can see that we became the member of World Trade Organizations. And World Trade Organization stands for the liberalization of foreign trade and foreign investment. They supported liberal policy regarding foreign trade and foreign investment. We have learned what is foreign trade, what is foreign investment earlier. So they wanted to stand for, their stand is to liberalize foreign trade and foreign investment. And they say that according to World Trade Organization, these barriers are harmful. So we have to remove the barriers. Then trade between countries should be free. So there should be free trade. They are arguing for free trade, and if there are barriers, it is harmful. So they needed the liberal policy, liberalization and foreign trade and foreign investment. And barriers are harmful. So let be free foreign trade and foreign investment. So they wanted to liberalize their policies. So let us see what are the aim of the World Trade Organization. What is the aim? Liberalize international trade. That means the foreign trade. Liberalize foreign trade. For this purpose, we should be some rules for foreign trade, and the rules should be obeyed. That is, liberalize international trade. And international trade means the foreign trade. Liberalize international trade. In order to liberalize the international trade, there should be some rules, and the rules should be properly obeyed. And they should force to remove the trade barriers. So, World Trade Organization argue to remove the trade barriers. And so how this can be implemented? Steps to attract, and here this much part it is given in your textbook as World Trade Organization. World Trade Organization. In another page it is mentioned regarding special economic zones. Special economic zones. So I am connecting this just to understand how to attract foreign trade and foreign investment. In order to attract foreign trade and foreign investment, central government as well as state governments are taking certain policies. That is, attract foreign companies. Just understand this, we are talking about how to attract foreign trade and foreign investment. Here the central government, just pointing out what are the points you should be kept in mind. That is, central and state governments are taking initiative for that. And attract foreign companies. We should attract foreign companies. How we can attract foreign companies? We can create some industrial zones, special economic zones in different parts of our country, especially on the coastal regions, Kandla, like that Visakhapatnam. We are having special economic zones, and this industrial special economic zones are there. Special economic zones is what is the benefit or what is the specialty of this special economic zones? It is having world-class facilities. What are the regarding electricity, water, roads, transportation, storage, recreational and educational facilities. That is, we should have the educational facilities, that type of world class standards it should keep. Recreational facilities also there, electricity, water facilities, road facilities, transportation facilities, it should maintain world class standards. So in that particular zone, in Kerala we are having this special economic zone near Kakanad, where the info park is situated. So there this type of special facilities are provided, and no need to pay tax in this area. There is no need to pay tax. There is concessions are there for the initial 5 years. So that is why we can attract the foreign investment there. So for investment, those who want to invest money there, those who want to start new factories there, new companies there, you know that we can welcome there, because we can say there is no tax. There is no tax for the initial stages, and initial 5 years there is no tax, and the laws are flexible labor laws. That means that allowed to ignore labor laws. Earlier we said as Sushila became Sushila, where she was worked permanently, that job, they closed that firm. After all, she has to fetch a job in it on the temporary basis. How she suffered, we have seen already. So that way, you know that the ignoring the labor laws, that type of a concession also given to the companies where you are starting one company. It is no need, even if the labor laws are not obeyed, you know that they can proceed. So hire workers flexibly for shorter period. That means temporary basis. When a worker is working on the temporary basis, labor is losing or labor is not gaining, or the labor has to undergo several troubles. That is the thing we can see in the case of special economic zones. So in order to attract, labor cost can be reduced. Other cost of production we cannot reduce. Supplies or raw material we cannot ask, you have to reduce the cost. Most often the impact rests on the poor labor class. Most often they may be working for the daily wages, like that. So I hope you understood what is about the special economic zone. And something connected, World Trade Organization is different topic, but from there foreign trade and foreign investment, we can see what about how it can be attracted.